Jameson Taillon also got an extension. Congratulations to him, the Woodlands kid. Got paid handsomely. 4
Got
years,
out of the
$68 million.
The cheater factory of New York and got to Chicago.
Well, yeah, he's going to Wrigley. To Wrigley to be a Chicago Cub. The average annual value for Jameson Taillon. And look, I like Jameson Taillon. I know that the Astros beat him up a little bit in the playoffs as they beat up the Yankees badly. They swept them. Can you imagine, though, that the Yankees signed Judge, by the way, as you're well aware? That's huge. Can you imagine adding Judge to that lineup that got swept by the Astros?
Yeah, I mean, look at all the different things that they've actually done to get better so that they can have a team that competes even more than the competitive team that got swept by the Astros.
All right, I'm gonna lay off.
I'm not.
Yankees.
Screw that. I mean, look at their lineup top to bottom. Tell me where they got better. They keep losing guys. They're not adding guys. And now with that inflated salary and all the years they got to pay them, it's going to handcuff them for the next 10 years.
I'm going to lay off a little bit. I feel bad for them. They haven't won a clean title since 78.
You've been deeply engaged for 24 years.
Yeah, I'm a little nauseated with the Yankees. Anyways, that Taillon contract, $17 million per year. We hear a lot of times about Lance McCullers, and I'm like, I like Lance McCullers. I'm not over the top Lance McCullers, hung the moon, bury me in the H, blah, 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 blah. I like Lance. I don't love Lance. I think he's a very good pitcher. I know that he has the injury concerns, which makes him a little bit of a flawed player, right? But something that does bother me when people talk about Lance McCullers is that, he's overpaid. He's got too much of an inflated contract. You can never trust, blah, 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 blah. I look at some of these contracts that are being signed right now around Major League Baseball, and Jameson Taillon, no hate at all to Taillon. I like him a lot. Love the fact that he's from Houston. That dude's getting paid the same amount of money as Lance McCullers, and he's nowhere in the same stratosphere as Lance McCullers. I never want to hear again that Lance McCullers is overpaid.
Taijuan Walker just signed with the Phillies from the Mets. He got close to the same AAV. The salaries that I've seen for starting pitchers that would be considered probably the 3, or maybe in some cases, depending on what other pitchers you have in your roster, the 2. But it's more.
Especially now.
Common than you think. Yeah. That in that part of the rotation, you're between 17 and 20, 22 million a year. And so you shouldn't think that he was grossly overpaid because he fits beautifully right in where he belongs. Now, look, I've been a guy that my biggest knock on Lance McCullers is the injuries.
Sure, and that's fair. I mean, obviously it's fair.
I'm not worried about him tipping pitches, and more times than not, he'll figure that out. And that's not going to be a problem because it hasn't been. He's had unbelievable stuff. He's got one of the best curveballs, and his breaking pitches are some of the best in baseball.
He's kind of he's different now than he was when he came up.
Yeah, you're exactly right. He reinvented himself after he threw the 24 straight curveballs, and he had the issues with his arm. But at the same time, I don't have anything but confidence in his stuff. But my biggest concern is staying injury-free going forward. If they can find a way to do that, whether it's a 6-man rotation or, like you said, him changing some of the things that he does, then that's even better. But I think that's also part of the reason that he was willing to take the long-term deal at that price, and they were willing to sign it, because at that price, he's a bargain if he stays healthy or not.
It's kind of a clear and track contract. Like Lance McCullers, if Lance McCullers was always healthy and Lance McCullers was never hurt, look, he took a little bit of a hometown discount. I think he loves Houston, and we should admire him for that. If Lance McCullers hit the open market, he would get $25 million a year, maybe close to $30 million a year, as pitching desperate as people are. Jameson Taillon just signed this 4-year deal, $17 million AAV. Lance McCullers, $17 million AAV. Taillon's career ERA is north of 375. Lance McCullers' career ERA is south of 350. The Astros have a hometown discount. Now, was part of that discount because Lance McCullers is fragile and you got him a little bit on the injury rate? Yeah, you did. But Lance McCullers is not overpaid, and I'm sick of hearing it, and I never want to hear it again.
No, I think that a lot of people get bitter because when they give away what they think is free money, and no one can ever predict when they're going to get hurt or if they're going to get hurt. But the same way that suddenly Justin Verlander, but Tommy John surgery. I mean, he had a major injury, and that's part of the deal when you do the kind of long-term deals that teams have to do to get players. You had to pay Justin Verlander, and unfortunately, he needed Tommy John surgery, and you paid him for not pitching, essentially, other than one game for almost 2 years. That's the way it goes. The same thing with McCullers. People get pissed off when he didn't pitch in the World Series. He didn't pitch most of last year. So I get, because they're pissed off, now they want to say that you're overpaying. You didn't get the return on investment. I mean, you don't know when your body's going to break down. Mm-hmm. It's not his fault. And I think that was a give and take handshake deal to keep him where he wanted to be at a price that the team was willing to pay.
I get the frustration. Those people were just wrong.